Good evening, everybody, and welcome to your Thursday pop-up yoga practice. My name is Udesh, and I am going to be sharing or leading you through the practice. Admittedly, this was going to be a live Facebook session. However, due to something quite urgent and important coming up, I've had to record this for you. I do promise you, however, that everything that we're doing now is going to, the objective is to energize you, get you ready for the weekend, help you unwind, and just make you feel good in body and mind. Uh, I, I remind you, I encourage you to explore what we're doing in a very healthy way. So don't overstretch yourself, don't overstrain yourself. Be very gentle with yourself when you need to. When something is difficult, explore it in a very playful manner and make sure that you take into account any sort of injuries or any sort of medical conditions you might have. Make sure that it feels safe, that it feels good in the body, and I hope you enjoy the practice. And so how we're going to start is with a little bit of breath awareness. So what you're going to do is you can come into a seated position the way I am on your knees, if that feels very comfortable for you, and you'll notice that you can keep your toes untucked or tucked, and you can open up through the chest. If you feel more comfortable sitting in a cross-legged position where the legs are crossed, you can do that. Once again, the emphasis is on opening up the chest. So we just want to open up the chest a little bit more because some of us are probably have been sitting in front of a computer, so we might have closed off. So we're actively starting to open that line of tissue, this part of the body, and allowing our breath to, allowing ourselves to become a bit more aware of the breath. So you can keep the eyes open or closed. And from there, even if you want to place your hands on your belly, we're just going to direct our awareness and our attention to the breath, starting to see if you can expand the belly on the in-breath, breathing in through the nose, and then gently out through the nose or the mouth, whichever feels more comfortable for you. And you're going to continue to do this in your own time and check in with your posture every now and then and noticing if the posture starts to round, if the shoulders start to round. Look to keep those shoulders open, look to keep the chest open, and look to lengthen the spine. At the same time, making sure that the sitting position that you're in feels comfortable yet strong. Observing the breath. No need to force anything. Just allowing that natural rhythm to come as it may. If it's been quite a full day or quite a busy day, the mind might be racing, it might be full of thoughts, and that's perfectly okay. Start by observing those thoughts and then shifting your awareness back to your breath. And if the mind begins to wander, when you become aware of that wandering mind, gently bring yourself back to your breath. Your breath is your anchor in this point of the practice. And then from there, checking in with that alignment of the spine, that opening of the chest. Take a very deep breath in through the nose. And then gently sigh it out through the mouth. You might be able to hear my breath in the mic. So what we're doing is we're taking deep breath in. And notice if you can gently sigh it all out and really make that out breath a lot longer than the in breath. So breathing in and then sighing it out. Doing this for one last time in your own time, making sure that the chest is open, that the lungs are full. Take a deep breath in. Stay with the breath for slightly longer. And then when your body tells you a powerful exhalation, nice and long. And when you're ready, gently starting to blink the eyes open. And that was the breath awareness part of the class. And I remind you that breath awareness is important and it can be done during the course of the day at any time. Breath awareness allows us to always almost reset and resynchronize our mind with our body. And just checking with the breath allows you to deepen that breath. And the deepening of the breath, or the slowing down and the controlling of the breath, has the effect of creating a slightly more relaxed state. So now we're going to start with the physical practice. If you had socks on, if you're feeling a bit cold, you might start to take the socks off, just putting it aside. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by um, starting in our cat and our cow. So the emphasis is going to be a lot on the spine and just getting the spine to move in a sort of extended sort of space. Because, like I said, many of us are going to be having hunched over a laptop like this. Sometimes I call this zombie pose. And of course, with Zoom these days, you could call it zombie pose. That was my dry joke for the day. But we are going to be emphasizing the movement of the spine a lot. We're going to come into our 4-point base, also known as the box shape. And remember to bring the wrists to stack underneath the shoulders and the knees to stack underneath the hips. The legs should be hip width apart and the hands should be shoulder width apart. To check in, if you look in between your legs, you should not see your feet. Look to bring your index fingers parallel to one another and start to grip into the mat almost as if you were Spider Woman or Spider Man, gripping into the mat. Look to transfer the weight into the first knuckle, so that index finger knuckle. And then from that neutral 4-point base, activate your core. So you're going to feel the front body activate the musculature that surrounds the belly. And then on the first in breath, starting to notice how I arch my spine, I look forward, I bring my shoulder blades towards each other, and notice how my back rounds or arches. This is known as a cow stretch. You should feel a slight opening through the front body, through the neck. And then on the exhale, draw the chin in towards the chest, start to segment through the spine, and begin to broaden through the back. Now, pulling the rib cage in, arch through the spine the opposite way. This is known as a cat stretch for obvious reasons. It looks like I'm a cat. Really pressing into the floor here. Notice how the front body is nice and strong and active. Keep that activeness through the core and the front body. And now on the next inhale, starting to once again move the spine the opposite way, coming into that cow stretch, looking forward. On the exhale, starting to push back into that cat stretch. Just warming up the body, warming up the spine, warming up the pelvis, pelvic girdle and the shoulder girdle, moving as controlled, as mindful as you can. And notice if you can start to segment through the spine as well. Linking your breath to the movement. On the exhale, push into the cat. On the inhale, come into your cow. Once you've done a few of these, now allow your bodily intuition to move you. So move in any way that feels good in the body. So this is your freestyle movement, just moving, feeling, getting that sense of freedom through the body. It's not very often that we allow our bodies to move in any way that we want. So have fun with it, enjoy it, really, really get that sense of freedom and liberation. And then when you're done, come back into that neutral 4-point base, the box shape. You're going to start by extending the right leg out towards the back. The toe is going to point. And now what you're going to do is you're going to start to walk your left fingertips forward the way I'm doing. And your hands might come off the mat, but you're going to place that hand flat down. So you'll notice that my right leg is extended, my left arm is extended. Look in between or look directly down at the mat. And then keep the core active. And then on the next inhale, find your balance and see if you can lift that right leg and that left arm, really reaching for the front with the arm, pulling to the back with the leg, and look to keep the spine into neutral here. On the exhale, hover the hand and hover the leg back down. Take another deep breath in, activate the core, lift that arm, lift that leg as high as you can. Keep the spine neutral, keep the core active, hold it there. 3, 2, 1. Lower that hand down, lower the leg down. Bring the hand back in and bring the leg back in. Going for the opposite side. Now extend the left leg, the toe is untucked. Walk the right fingertips forward, that arm is flat down. Gripping into the floor with the left hand, keeping the core active in the spine neutral. Inhale, lift right arm and left leg, hold it there. Exhale, lower it down, nice and slow. Inhale, engage and lift, hold it there. Exhale, lower down, nice and slow. Walk that hand back in, walk that foot back in. And then from there, what you're going to do is you're going to start to roll your shoulders. So you're going to roll your shoulders in a circular motion. Your wrists are still going to be stacking under your shoulders at the beginning. And all you're doing is you're rolling the shoulders. You can start clockwise, starting to mobilize those muscles around the shoulder girdle. Those are the muscles that start to maybe get stuck when we get hunched behind a computer. Just doing a few of those rolls. Notice how the rest of the spine might start to get involved, and that's okay. But if you want to lock the rest of the spine and just move from the shoulders, notice how the dynamics of the movement change. And then from there, rolling the shoulders the opposite way, just getting that sense of freedom through the shoulders. And then from here, we're going to go into a puppy pose. So you might have to move a little bit more back, but keeping the knees stacking underneath the hips. Now starting to walk the hands forward. So it's almost like a down dog, but on your knees. The palms are flat down. Start to lower your forehead flat down towards the floor. Feel for that stretch through the shoulders, through the front body. Just allowing yourself to lower down and relax. Just feeling that opening through the front body, through the shoulders, through the chest. Stay here for a few deep breaths. Then taking a deep breath in, and then powerfully sighing it all out, and start to pull yourself back up into your box. From your box, if you need to, you can swivel to the side, lifting up onto your knees from here. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to come into something known as a gate pose. So if you're mirroring me, you're going to take your left leg out towards the side. And notice that I'm going to start to point the toes forward as much as I can, getting the outside arch of the foot flat down. And then I'm going to start to inhale and take the arms up and overhead, reaching for the sky, bringing the palms to touch. At the same time, pull the glutes into center line, pull the core into center line. Feel like somebody is reaching your hands up towards the sky. And then the left hand is going to start to lower down, finding that straightened leg. The right hand reaches up towards the sky. You can make any sort of finger pattern you want, or you can just wiggle the fingers. And then from there, you're going to start to side bend, just reaching over to the other side, feeling for that stretch and opening through the right side of your rib cage. Staying here for a few deep breaths. And then on the next inhale, starting to bring the palms up, bringing the palms to touch. On the exhale, draw the palms into the heart center. And now from here, you're going to start to take that right hand. Imagine you're pushing something away nice and slow. Push, push, push. Straighten that arm. Now start to lower that arm, bring it to stack underneath the shoulder. Now take the opposite hand, bring it to meet. And like you're pulling a string of a bow, pull the string of the bow, pull as far back as you can. Keep that hand, that elbow bent. Pull, pull, pull. And now straighten the arm, spread the fingers wide. From there, you're going to take that hand over your ear, reaching, and just feel for that stretch that happens to the opposite side of the body. Just breathing through it. And then on the next inhale, lifting that arm, reaching up, bringing the palms to touch. On the exhale, draw the palms into the heart center. And then from here, we're going to start to slide that leg back in. And then we're going to extend the opposite leg out. Remember, the toes will point forward, and I will look to get the outside arch flat down if I can. Starting to inhale, take the arms up and overhead, reach for the sky, lengthen through the spine. And then on the exhale, start to lower. Now your right hand down, left hand, reach for the sky, reach up as high as you can, directly upwards, wiggling the fingers if that feels good. And then from there, side bend, take the arm over, feel for the stretch. Starting to inhale, come back up, bring the palms to touch. On the exhale, draw the palms to the heart center. And then from here, the left hand starts to push out, nice and slow. Straighten the arm, bring that arm to stack underneath the shoulder. Now, right hand pulls to the left, pull the string of the bow, twist, open through the chest, reach, spread the fingers nice and wide. And now take that arm over and reach. Stay nice and strong through the core. Inhale, take the arms up and overhead, bringing the palms to touch. And then on the exhale, starting to draw the palms into the heart center. And then you're going to draw that leg back in. So what you're going to notice with this class is we're not going to be doing a lot of chaturungas or planks for that matter. Because like I said, the idea is to open up the shoulders. And if we're doing a lot of pushing stuff, that's not going to happen. So what we're going to do is from our box, we're going to go straight. Well, let's go into our plank first, right? But from plank, we're going to push straight back into our downward facing dog. So you're going to start to come into that plank, rising up onto the balls of the feet. And then when you're ready, start to push the shoulders away from the wrists, pushing the weight into the legs and push back into your down dog, feeling the stretch wherever you feel it, making this as comfortable as you need it. And then once you're in your down dog, you can start to once again allow your body to freestyle through the movement, just moving in any way that feels good in the body. You might shake your head. You might shake your pelvis. You might windshield wiper your heels from left to right. You can notice what I'm doing here. And just allow your body to explore, to play. Maybe rotate around the ankles. And then from here, we're going to go into something known as a twisted dog. So you're going to start to shorten your down dog by either a foot or a foot and a half, but close enough such that you're able to grab onto your ankle. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to take the right hand and now grab onto the outside left ankle and look underneath your left armpit, looking upwards, using that left ankle as an anchor. Starting to inhale, come back to center. Brace the core. Exhale, take the left hand to the outside right ankle. Look underneath your right armpit. Keep the core active. Inhale, come back towards center. Taking a variation, now take the right hand. Grab onto the inside of that right ankle. Look underneath the left armpit. Inhale, come back towards center. Exhale, take left hand towards right ankle and look underneath that right armpit. Core remains active. And relax, release. And then from here, start to walk your feet to meet your hands. Keep a bend in the knees if you need to, fold forward. If it feels good to sway from side to side, do so. From there, lower the hands down to the floor, pulling your navel in towards your spine. Tuck your tailbone, pull your chin in towards your chest. Direct your awareness to the base of the spine, and now starting to uncurl. Stack and rise, nice and slow. Look to articulate through each vertebra of the spine. The chin will remain in the chest, and then the spine will find neutral. Starting to inhale, taking the arms up and overhead, bringing the palms to touch, lengthening through the spine. Pull the glutes in, pull the rib cage in. Get a sense like somebody is lifting your arms up overhead and somebody is pulling your ankles down to the floor And on the exhale, starting to draw the palms into the heart center. And then inhale, rise up onto the balls of the feet. Find your balance. Hold it there. 3, 2, and 1. Gently lower the heels down to the floor. Bring the palms to your side. You find Tadasana. And then from here, a little bit of stretching. So what you're going to do is you can face me, but you're going to start with your left leg, crossing your left leg in front of your right. Bring the knees to stack or the knees into alignment. The toes are pointing towards the front. And then from here, you're going to turn your left palm forward and almost like you're lifting a cup of tea upwards, lifting it all the way, all the way, all the way, high as you can. You might not be able to see my hand, but reach for the sky. Try not to arch through the rib cage, just moving that hand as high as you can. Now take the right hand, starting at that left shoulder, and now start to reach that hand up towards the wrist, and you're going to start to side bend out towards your right side, starting to open up that left side of the body. Start to inhale, come back towards center, and on the exhale, start to swan dive the arms, keeping the lower back straight. Fold forward, lower the hands, and then lower your chin in towards your chest, and that will give you an upper back stretch. Begin to uncurl, stack and rise, nice and slow. Once spine finds neutral, look forward, inhale, take the arms up and overhead. Reach for the sky, bring the palms to touch. Exhale, draw the palms into the heart center. Undo the legs and then cross the legs the other way. And then from here, turning that right palm forward and then starting to lift that arm as high as you can, moving mostly from the shoulder, not from the rib cage. And now take the left hand to that right shoulder, lifting up towards the wrist, and then side bend to the opposite side. Just opening up through that right side of the body. Starting to inhale, come back to center, and then hinge from the hips, keep the lower back straight, like you're diving off a pool. Fold forward, lower the hands down, pull the chin in towards the chest. From there, starting to uncurl as you stack and rise. Spine finds neutral. Inhale, take the arms up and overhead, bringing the palms to touch. Keep the core active. Exhale, start to draw the palms into the heart center. And then undoing the legs. And then from there, you're going to come to the front of your mat. Finding your Tadasana, and we're going to play with a little bit with balance. You're then going to start to ground your left leg. Start to come onto the ball of your right foot. Then, without using any hands, if you can, you're going to start to float that right knee into the chest. Notice where the weight goes. Try and transfer the weight to the inside of your left leg into the big toe. Just playing with the balance. The greater control you have over the core, the more the balance feels controlled. Bringing the palms to the heart center, and what we're going to do is, all you're going to do is you're going to start to float that leg backwards, leaning the upper torso forward, and keep the lower back active. You're going to extend the leg all the way, so we're coming into a warrior tree, pulling the shoulder blades back and down. And then from there, slowly as you can, you're going to start to bend that left knee, and then you're going to start to parachute that right leg down, landing on the ball of the foot. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. You might find a bit of a wobble. And remember, you don't have to go too deep into this warrior lunge, but make sure that the core is active and that I'm actively sort of tucking my tailbone. So this is going to be very active. I'm pulling. So I'm going to be pulling this left leg back and it's not going to move. And I'm going to be pulling this right leg forward, but it's not going to move. So that's going to square my hips and make this feel very, very active through the legs. And then I'm going to start to open up through the chest by reaching for the sky, lengthening through the spine. Staying nice and strong, pull the rib cage in. reaching for the sky. And then from here, I'm going to start to take my right hand, I'm going to start to lower it down and stack it underneath my right shoulder. The left hand pulls towards the right. I pull the string of the bow and I twist and I open, using that right arm to support as much as I need to. From here, on the next inhale, coming back up, finding my balance, taking the arms up and overhead. And then this is one from Stephen, but you're going to start to open up through the chest, keeping the core active, pulling the scapula towards each other, looking slightly upwards. See if you can get your heart up towards the sky. Opening up through the chest, and then we're going to start to close by bringing the hands together, just taking the spine the other way. Inhale, open. Pull the scapula towards each other. Exhale, close. Allow the scapula to come away from each other. Inhale, open. You might be feeling it in that left glute. So what we're going to do is you're now going to bring the palms to the heart center, and then gently you're going to start to just slide that leg forward and then step it and then release. And then you're going to shake it out, just wiggling it out. And we're going to go for the opposite side. So as we did, so now we're going to ground the right foot into the floor, looking to transfer that weight into the big toe or the inside line. Then I'm going to start to lift onto the ball of that left foot. The fingertips are touching. The core activates very strongly. This glute activates very strongly. And then I float that knee in, nice and slow and controlled. And if you fall, have fun with it. Be willing to laugh at yourself. This is not something to be taken too seriously. Well, nothing for me is to be taken too seriously, but that's just my philosophy in life. Float that leg, that left leg back, lean forward, find that warrior three, keep the shoulder blades nice and close together, open up through the chest, core remains active. Now bend that right knee, starting to parachute that left leg down. Play with the balance, really see how much of control you have here. Then float that leg down, you're on the ball of that foot. Opening up, remember core remains very active. You're pulling that right leg forward, left leg is pulling, so you're pulling that right leg back, left leg is pulling forward as but I'm not moving. And then I start to inhale and I take the arms up and overhead as I find my high lunge. And then from here, I'm going to start to lower left hand down. Left hand stacks under the left shoulder. Right hand pulls to left, pulling the string of the bow, twisting and opening, reaching for the sky. From there, starting to rise back up, taking the arms back up and overhead. And then I'm going to start to once again pull open through the chest, finding my balance. Then I'm going to start to bring the hands together, just going the other way. Inhale, pull, looking up, taking your heart upwards, and exhale, close. And then you might start to feel it a bit. So from here, just starting to slide that left foot forward, and then relaxing, and then you're going to shake it out. All right, so that was a little bit of twisting, a little bit of heart opening. What we're going to do is we're going to come into a nice wide-legged sumo wrestler pose, right, or goddess pose, whichever you prefer to call it. Doesn't have to be too wide, doesn't have to be too deep. You're just going to start to notice that my feet are pointing slightly outwards, just deepening, sitting down into this, feeling the musculature support you, right? So feel very strong. The glutes are very strongly engaged. And now once again, we're going to start to, almost like you're pulling a fizzer apart. So imagine you've got a fizzer in between your hands, and then you're going to start to pull it apart as you open up through the chest, looking slightly upwards, just feeling for that opening through the chest. Pull the scapula towards each other and then pull them down. Looking up, not too much up. And then from there, once again, bring the hands towards each other. Take the shoulder blades the opposite way. Inhale, open. And now just a little bit of Tai Chi. So opening the hands out towards the side, just bringing the hands towards center. And now on the next inhale, open up, bring the palms up, reach for the sky. Lengthen through the spine, keep the core and glutes active. Pull the energy down from the sky and store it in your belly button. So align the hands with the belly button. Inhale, open up through the chest, keep the core active, open with the hands, reach for the sky. Exhale, pull that power down in and store it in the belly button. Inhale, open through the chest, reach for the sky. Lengthen, core active, glutes active. Pull it down, nice and slow. Inhale, open, reach, exhale, close. Store the energy. Inhale, open, pull the shoulder blades towards each other, reach for the sky. Exhale, close. And then from there, from our sumo wrestler pose, all we're going to do is we're going to start to bring the legs slightly more closer towards each other. You're going to see if you can sit down into a squat. Now, how I want to do this is as slow as possible. And the reason I want to do it slowly is because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the muscle or the quadricep to start to really work in a lengthened position. It's known as eccentrics, and eccentrics have some very good effects on the body. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it very slow, right? And we're going to do it. You can try legs hip width apart or slightly wider, up to you. You can have the hands at the front or at the side or wherever you need it on the hips. But from there, you're going to start to lower yourself down nice and slow. Nice and slow, almost like you're fighting gravity. You'll feel the quad muscles really work really hard. And if you can't lower all the way down, you're just going to lower down to as far as you can. Staying there nice and slow, and then taking yourself all the way down. If you need to use your hands, you're going to do so. You're starting to lower yourself down into the floor. And then from here, you're going to start to bring the feet to touch if you can. You're going to grab onto your toes or to the undersides of your feet, just using that as an anchor, starting to open up through the chest. And all you're going to do is you're going to start to lift your knees and then lower your knees, and then lift your knees and then lower your knees. Nice and slow. Lowering them down. And then from here, you're going to start to take the legs slightly wider, right? So you'll notice that my legs are pretty wide. And what you're going to do is you're going to start to rotate your left knee over, down towards the opposite side. And now you'll notice that your right shin is going to be parallel to the mat, and your left shin is going to be parallel to the other side. So this is known as a 90-degree, 90-degree. What we're going to do is we're just going to stay here, keep this back nice and straight. You're going to start to move your navel forward, move your upper torso forward, as far forward as you can. And then when you can go no further, find a nice stretch through that right side of the glute, and you're just going to start to fold forward, just lowering yourself down, nice and slow. And now from here, if you can take away your hands, maybe bring your palms to your heart center. You can even clasp the hands. You're going to use that hip to push you up, nice and slow, lifting up. And then see if you can lower yourself down using only gravity. And we're doing an eccentric here, just lowering down. Engage, you can use your hands, push yourself up. Bring the hands together, eccentrically lower yourself down, nice and slow. Hands to push you up. Last time, eccentrically start to lower yourself down, nice and slow. Notice how I keep that back nice and straight. Push yourself up. From here, now starting to flip this around. So now pivoting on that foot, that left foot. Bringing the legs back to that configuration, now pulling and pivoting the other way. and going the other way. And now you can see that I've got the opposite leg parallel to this side of the mat and this leg parallel to this side of the mat. And then as I did, I'm going to keep the lower back straight. I'm going to move my navel forward. I'm going to move my heart forward, my chest forward. And then when I've got a good stretch through that glute on this side, I'm going to fold forward nice and slow, just feeling for that stretch. From there, I'm going to push myself up with my hands. And now starting that eccentric floating, nice and slow. See if you can lower yourself down. Nice and slow, just using the hands start to support you. Push back up. That's 3. Lower yourself down nice and slow. Use the hands, push yourself back up. And we're doing this one last time. Lower yourself down, eccentric, and then stop and lower down and relax and undo. Okay, so this is one of my favorite parts of the practice, and I recommend that do it every day, do it as often as you can, actually, because this is going to be very good for opening up those shoulders that have started to close off in the zombie pose, right? So we're going to start with the easiest variation, which is known as the upward 4-point bake or the upward box. And your legs are going to be hip width apart, your feet are going to be flat down. And the safest configuration for the shoulders is my fingertips are pointing out to the side, okay? Notice I take my hand slightly behind me. I open up through the chest by pulling my shoulder blades towards each other. I'm going to start to press into the floor with the heel. I'm going to grip into the floor with the hand. I'm going to pull my rib cage in. I'm going to squeeze my glutes. I'm going to look up. And then I'm going to drive the pelvis up as high as I can, lifting up through the chest, opening up as much as I can. And if it feels good to do so, taking the head and looking backwards, really pulling, opening up through the chest. And on the exhale, starting to lower myself back down. And then from there, once again, engage. If you want, you can play with the configuration of the hands if you're happy with the hands the way they are. But remember, you can turn the fingertips back. You can turn the fingertips forward. As long as you've got no shoulder issues, that's perfectly fine. And then from there, starting to open up. Once again, drive through the hips. Keep the core active. Lift the chest up, looking up or looking backwards. Nice and slow, start to lower yourself back down. We're going to do this one last time. Core remains nice and active. And here's what I want you to do. You're going to lift up, you're going to engage, and we're going to stay here for as long as we can. Now, when you feel the muscles start to feel tired, try not to collapse, but rather nice and slow, start to parachute yourself back down towards the floor. Slow as you can. Lowering down. From there, straighten the legs. Point the toes. Reaching forward. And then from here, you're going to start to draw your right knee in towards your chest, pulling that in, hugging it in. Notice how I point the left foot. And then you're going to start to take that left hand, just wiggle the fingers. Now wrap that left hand around the right knee. Bring the left shoulder in as close to the right knee as possible. Now start to flex that left foot. Lengthen through the spine, almost like somebody is lifting your head upwards. And then on the exhale, start to twist. If you want to get more purchase through the twist, take that left elbow and move it around on that knee. Starting to inhale, come back towards center. Keep hugging that right leg in. Now point that left toe. And now working a bit on this left hip flexor here. And what you're going to do is look to keep yourself hugged in. Lift that leg as high as you can. Just hold it there. 3, 2, 1. Allow it to float or parachute back down nice and slow. Exhale. Engage. Lift. 3, 2, 1. Parachute it down nice and slow. Exhale. Last time, inhale, lift. 3, 2, 1. Exhale, lower it down, parachute it down. And now I can straighten my right leg, and then I can draw my left knee in. And I hug that knee in, pulling it in. And now I'm going to take that right arm, wiggle the fingers, then wrap. Notice how my right shoulder will come to that left knee. And then I lengthen through the spine and I twist. And if I want, I can take the knee or the elbow slightly different. I inhale, come back towards center, hugging that knee in, pointing that toe. And then as I did, I'm going to reach, or on the exhale, I'm going to lift as high as I can, just holding it there. 3, 2, 1, allow it to float back down. Inhale, engage, lift. 3, 2, 1, allow it to float back down. Inhale, engage, and lift. 3, 2, 1, allow it to float back down. And then from here, you're going to straighten both legs. Point the toes, bring the big toes to touch. So from here, we're going to do an evolution of that upward box, coming into our upward planks. So you're going to take the hands behind you, fingertips out to the side, hands are shoulder width apart. Pull the scapula towards each other, feel for that opening and that stretch through the shoulders. Now, if it feels comfortable for you to stay here, and if that feels nice, you have that option. But if you want to work a little bit more on the core, now squeeze the glutes, press the heels into the floor, activate the core, and drive the pelvis up. And you'll notice we look like we're doing like a plank, but it's the opposite way, looking up towards the sky, really pushing the chest up towards the sky. And on the exhale, start to float yourself back down. Notice if you can rotate the knees towards each other, that will activate the core more strongly on the front side. And doing again, inhale, starting to lift up, engage, holding 3, 2, 1. Exhale, lower down. Remember, you can experiment with the configuration of the hands, doing this one last time in your own time. Nice and slow. Inhale, engage, and lift. 3, 2, 1. Lower yourself down. Nice and slow. Okay, from here, starting to prepare for our Shavasana. So you're going to start to point the toes. Imagine your heels are glued down onto the mat. We're going to do a bit of an eccentric movement for this rectus abdominis or the core muscles here. So you're going to find the cat spine, almost like somebody is pulling your hands forward, or you're holding onto straps. And what you're going to do is you're going to lower yourself down onto the floor using only your core muscles. And how you'll know you're using only your core muscles is you'll notice your feet won't lift off the ground. Notice if you can control the motion. So you're lowering one vertebra down at a time. Nice and slow. Nice and slow. Nice and slow. And then from there, starting to hug your knees in towards your chest. And then from there, you're going to start to extend the legs and come into a nice few seconds of Shavasana, just slowing the breath down, close the eyes, deepen your breath. And then from there, gently starting to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Bring the big toes to touch, take the arms over your head, stretch and lengthen. Start to draw your knees in towards your chest, give yourself a bit of a squeeze. And then rolling to right side or left side, using right arm or left arm as a pillow. When you're ready, starting to come back up into a comfortable seated position with your palms at your heart center and your eyes closed. Taking this moment to acknowledge the energy and the efforts that you've put into your practice. Honor the warrior within you that strives to change that which you can change. Honor the yogi within you that accepts that which you cannot change. cultivate the wisdom and the awareness to know the difference. Bring your palms to your forehead, to your lips, back to your heart, gently blinking the eyes open. And I thank you for practicing. It is always a pleasure to share my practice with you. I invite you to reach out to me, and if you have any questions on why we did eccentrics as an example, and I'm happy to answer all of those questions. And if you would like this to be a more regular thing, please let me know, because I really love to teach. I really love to share. I'm going to leave it at that because we've just gone over the 45-minute mark. And thank you so much. And see you on the mat. Remember to practice, practice, practice. Make sure you stay nice and open through the chest and get the body moving, because the body loves to move. And the moving body is a happy body, and a happy body is generally a fulfilled mind. So thank you very much.